Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Hiking in History. We are actually doing a proper hiking in history video today. And we are in, as you can see, I've just got off the train, we are in the village of Disley. And they've got this lovely little plaque telling you everything about the place. And we can actually see some of the places we're going to be going today. So we're going to check out Disley a little bit. It's just a small village that is down that way. And then we shall be going from Disley to Lyme House in Lyme Park, which is this. It's a big estate. It's the largest house in Cheshire because we're in Cheshire now. We're basically on the border between Cheshire and Derbyshire, at the edge of the Peak District. But we're going to check out Disley, then go to Lyme House. We'll go up there. There's some interesting buildings and stuff there. You can go inside and stuff, but I'm not going to do that today because I won't be able to film in there and all that stuff. And then we're going to be hiking up to these things. So they're on here. We've got a little sneak preview. The Bowstones. It's like some ancient Saxon stones, and we're gonna check them out as well. And that's the general gist of the hike today. So it's all on here. It's all spoiler alerts. Well, yes, let's head off. So here we are in the centre of Disley. It's where all the roads meet here. It's very busy, very noisy actually, which I wasn't expecting. It's supposed to be a quiet little village, this. Not here though, but it's quite pretty. We've got a war memorial here. Like every village and town in the UK has these for all the men from Disley who gave their lives in the war. And we have this pub here, the Ram's Head. Now this is ridiculously old pub. Actually no, by England standards it's probably not ridiculously old because there's pubs in England that go back to like the 1400s and 1300s and stuff. But yeah, this is the Ram's Head pub, and this was built by the Lee family in around 1640. Yes, so this pub is older than America. That's one of the crazy things about England and the UK, is that we have just buildings and just pubs that are still in use that are older than most countries. But yeah, it was built by the Lee family, who we'll be hearing a lot more about because they're the people that held the estate at Lyme, all that stuff. So they built this. But the current exterior, so most of all this is around about 1840, but it was originally built in 1640. And it was built not as a pub, it was like a lodge at Lyme Park, so it would just be, you know, another building. And it was like the main coach stop on the way from Manchester to London. And back in those days as well, when it became an inn, it was known as one of the best inns in England. Whether it is now, who knows? It's probably lovely. It looks very nice. We've got a map here of Disley, and look at all these things that you can do, that you can see at Disley. An old horse trough. They're the Bowstones. So some of these we'll be doing. Lyme Cage, we're going to be going to that. That's one of the really cool, interesting buildings we're going to get to see. Murder Stone, I've not heard of that. I'll have to come back maybe and talk about the Murder Stone. There's Lyme Hall. All sorts. So it's not the quiet little village I was expecting. It's got this big main road going through it. But there's not that much here. I've just been up around that way, get a drink and some food. But yes, we're going to be heading up this way because there's hopefully an interesting building up there. But you can just imagine like all the coaches pulling in here, which is pretty cool. We've got a church just behind it as well. Right, so at the moment we are heading up this hill to where the golf course is. There's a Disley golf course. We're on where the golf course is now. Is apparently there's like a 15th century farmhouse that is still standing, part of it anyway. So we're going to see if we can find that, because that's what this area was. So not much is known about the area until about the 16th century, when these little farmsteads started appearing. Oh, there's a blue plaque there. Let's go check that out. Literary editor and Manchester Guardian. I have heard of him. Alan Monkhouse. think he was a playwright. Oh yeah, it says there. Stupid. Well, there you go, there's a little discovery. Alan Monkhouse from 1858 to 1936 lived at this house, novelist and playwright. How very interesting. But as I was saying before, I got distracted by the blue sign. Yeah, so the first farmhouses that were around this area, because it wasn't really developed before then, but there is a piece of one of these farmhouses that does survive, one of the original pieces. So we're going to see if we can find that. So where we are now in Disley, the origin of the name, the actual Anglo-Saxon name is Disley. I'll put it up, I don't know how you pronounce it in Anglo-Saxon. And it means wood or clearing by a mound, or much simply, windy settlement. I prefer windy settlement, so that's what I'm going to say it means. Not that windy today though, not living up to its name. And as we've just discovered about Alan Monkhouse living there, who I don't really know, I've heard of him, but playwright. Someone else that lived in Disley is Lord John Hurt, who was the guy that led the first successful Everest expedition, so the one with Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay in 1953, is it? Yeah, 1953. He came from, well, I don't know if he came from here, but he lived here, which is an interesting one. Which is always cool and interesting to find out, like when you're walking through these small places that don't seem very significant, yet the person who led the whole expedition to climb Everest the first time when it was successful just lived around here somewhere. And from one legend to another, apparently David Dickinson from Dickinson's Real Deal also has a house here, apparently. Or his first ever antique shop that he owned was from here as well. David Dickinson has a connection with it, so from one legend to another, Lord John Hurt, David Dickinson. What a place. We've got a sign here saying the golf club's this way, so I'm not going to use my maps and I'm going to just use the signs and see if I can find it. Just walking up to the golf course now and check out this view and some sheep. Wish it was a better day again, it's pretty overcast, but we can't be fussy in March. Got to take my days off where I can. Yeah, I think I'm okay just walking up here. I don't know. Golf courses always seem very exclusive. Well, they have that history, don't they, of being like men only and all that. Posh people only, I don't know. So I always feel a bit like, ooh, should I be here? Do I belong here on the golf course? I don't really have any interest in golf, so. But I'm going. I take my old comments back. This seems quite a friendly golf course that you can just walk around. Look at that. It's founded 1889. But look, it even says here. So we've got Stanley Hall, I don't know what that is, but the Crook Barn, that is what we're after. And the Hay Barn, maybe there's two. But it doesn't seem an elitist place. I've just walked on. There's no one to stop you or anything. Please ensure the lower tee is not in use before proceeding. No idea what that means. Golfing terms over my head. Most of golf experience I have is probably like Wii Sports or something. But golfing enthusiasts that are watching, tell me what that means. Let's have a look. The sun's come out now, very briefly. This is not the barn, but we shall find it. Okay, this is Stanley Hall. It just looks like a very nice house where some very wealthy people live. Imagine living on a golf course, if that is someone's house, which it looks like. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? Like you've just got people playing golf in like your backyard. I mean, I suppose you wouldn't mind if you lived there though, it's quite nice, isn't it? With views like this. Doesn't look like anyone's playing golf at the moment. Maybe it's too cold. There are some golfers actually just in the distance down there. Oh, there's some there. Are there any women with them? Are they letting women in now? Who knows? think there are. I think there's a woman down there. There we go. Progression. No progression on the crook-framed barn though. I thought it would have found it by now. I thought it would have been pretty easy to find, but I am just wandering along the golf course now. We had that one signpost, and now it's nothing. Left on my own. Well, it's not that, because that's very modern. We'll keep heading down, because I mean it said this way, and we've passed the Stanley Hall, so I'm assuming we're just going to have to follow this path until we come across it. Oh my god, there is women. There's women on the golf course. This is disgusting, this is. Hang on, she might just be holding the golf clubs for him. There we go. Basically a servant. Nothing's changed. The patriarchy is still alive. Oh! There we go, beautiful shot. Oh, look at this cool ass pool. Looks like it'd have some sort of legend behind it. That. Still no luck with the barn. I'm just walking the main path through it. I might end up having to put a picture up if I can't find it of the actual barn, because on the maps where it's sort of, if you look on the internet, it says it's sort of where that hall is, where we've already walked past that person's house, but it's definitely not that. The pictures are very different, so I'll carry on this path. I think it just does a loop around, but I can't see it at the moment. It's quite big, this golf course, so maybe it's tucked away off the path somewhere. Right, I think I'm coming back to where I started now, and there's no sign of it, so I'm gonna have to, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to put a picture up instead. I'll put a picture up now of the Crook Barn, which will be the oldest building in this area in Disley for sure. It's one of the original farmhouses that started, you know, cropping up around this area, which is a shame. It must be here somewhere, but it is quite a big area, and I've been on the main path and there's no sign of it. It's signposted at the front, but then you're just sort of left to find it, and Google isn't actually much help for this one. Crook framed, essentially, it just means like curved timber. Again, I'll put another picture up just so you know. You can sort of see it in like almost a Viking longboat type shape. So it's a really early example of that. But we didn't get to see it, I don't think. It's unfortunate. Got some nice views up here though. Check it out. We've just got back to the station area, and I'm going to start walking the other way now, towards Lyme Park and the cage, the cool building we're going to talk about, and all that stuff. Just seeing this along the way. This could be an idea for another future video. So it's the Gritstone Trail, I've never heard of it before. 35-mile walk, can be done in like 3 days, and it goes all over. On a clear day you can see the Welsh Hills and Cathedrals of Liverpool. That's cool. That's a possible idea for a future video. I might do that over the course of 3 days. Looks like this is where it starts, which is handy because this is a pretty easy place to get to. So that's a cool thing about whenever you're out walking and whatnot. You always add more things to your list. You see things like, oh, I've never heard of that before, or things like even that murder stone thing that was on the sign down there. Like, not heard of that, so that can be something to look into, maybe make a video out of. Could be a good graveyard story maybe. But let's carry on now to Lyme Park and the whole estate up this way. So we've just got our first view of it, the cage, which is just there. It probably looks really tiny on the camera, you can barely see it, but it's really striking building from here. As you can tell, it's just like this stone tower. That's so cool. But that's where we're gonna be heading, and then that's part of the Lyme estate, and we'll see more from there. So let's get up there. So this looks like it's the start of the Lyme estate. we go. So it's owned by the National Trust now, this whole estate is. But we're almost there. We're going to be heading up this way and should be there. Now I thought you had to pay to get in here, but I'm already in here. So I don't know, maybe you just have to pay to get in the house, but I swear you have to for the garden and stuff. But there might be, maybe there's a booth up there that you do it. Might be here actually. Welcome to Lyme, I am in. So there is where you actually pay there. Fun fact, which is nice. Oh, what a nice little stream. Fun fact, you only have to pay if you're coming in a car. So that's cool. It's like £6 for an adult. Or if you can be like a National Trust member or whatever and you get it for like free. But screw that. Just don't be a lazy shit and walk, which like it's not far. What is it? It's like 20-minute walk or something. Maybe up to the top here. And yeah, you don't have to pay. So there's a trick they don't tell you. And I've got a map. I've got a free little guide. So I'll have a look at that now. So this whole area, this Lyme Park area, used to be owned by the Leghs, who were extremely rich gentry, and literally it's kind of insane. It's been owned by the Leghs since like the 1300s. We'll do the proper history stuff when we're up there and we can see it, but off the top of my head, it's been like in the Lee family since like the 1300s, and it finally ceased to be in the Lee family in something like 1946. I think it was just after World War II. So that's one family line throughout, you know, like that's insane, like 700 years or whatever. And then it was finally just gifted to the National Trust. So it's all public now, and you can come here whenever you like. But that's mad, isn't it? Like one family owned this place, and it would have obviously been all for hunting and breeding deer and hare and all that kind of stuff. They'd be hunting across these lands. Oh, this is getting steep now. Maybe I should have brought a car, should have paid. Here we are, we're getting closer now. That is such like a striking bleak place. It looks like a prison. Which, funnily enough, it was actually used as a prison. But we'll get to that. We'll get to it and then we'll start talking the proper history. No one seems to be walking. I don't know why. You're getting for free. And it's not far. What an absolute stunning place to be walking. If you love your Pride and Prejudice and all that kind of stuff, after we see the cage and see the actual estate as well, yeah, it'll be right up your street if you're all into that, because it's a bloody big house. is what it is. The biggest in Cheshire. You can see for bloody mile, like, he probably doesn't pick up on the cameras, but I can see something over there. I don't know if it's a city or like power stations and stuff. But they aren't kidding. I can understand if you can see, you know, like Liverpool and places from up on these hills. There's a reservoir down there as well. So unless I'm being really dumb, which I don't think I am sometimes, but I imagine that is Manchester there, all there, if it picks up on the camera at all. Maybe if it was a bit clearer you could see, because it's a little bit smoggy, but certainly big city there, and because we're close to Manchester and Stockport, I'm pretty, yeah, that's got to be it, because we came this way from Stockport to the train station there at Disley. So there's Manchester, great view of Manchester. So here it is, here's the cage. Very interesting building on the Lyme estate. The actual building, it was built around about 1580, which is bloody old. It's older than you think it would be. And it's built, interestingly, as a hunting lodge for the women. So the women of the estate, this was a lodge for them to essentially, where they could watch the men hunt from. So they'd all gather in here, and then they would watch as the men of the estate hunted around for deer and hares and rabbits, all sorts, you know. And it would be their sort of entertainment, I guess. So it was a real, like, leisurely sort of place, as you can see just from the extravagance of the building itself. But after the hunts at night, it would be sort of turned into like a banquet hall, where after the hunt the men would come and join the women, and they would eat and have feasts in this building, overlooking all of this, over 1,300 acres of land. Such an impressive building, so stark, just sitting on this hill, really imposing type thing. But there's quite a lot of detail on it as well, isn't there? You've even got sundials here. There's 3 of them on 3 sides. One of them doesn't have, but we'll get to them. But after it was used, obviously, as this banquet hall and a hunting lodge for the women of the estate to chillax, essentially, and watch the men hunt. In the hundreds of years after, you know, like years later, it was used as the gamekeeper's house as well. So the person who managed the estate's, you know, animals, essentially. So the, you know, the deer and all that, all the animals that were being hunted, breed them, I imagine, and look after them, you know, to keep the numbers right, all that sort of stuff. This was his house, which is, you know, that's not a bad gig, is it? It's got like, well, it's 3 floors, I believe. But then in those later years as well, I mentioned that it was used as a jail. It actually was. It was used as a jail for the poachers. So poachers on the area, you know, hunting where they shouldn't have been hunting, and you know, stealing the gentry's animals. They got locked up in here as well, which again, they're probably worse prisons. So. Hopefully it isn't too windy off here. Hopefully you can still hear me. It should be. It's not that bad at the moment. More recently, if it's very recent history, the location's actually been in a few films. The 2011 film The Awakening with Rebecca Hall and Dominic West, which I haven't seen. It's like a sort of spooky horror movie. I don't know if it's like a Victorian type thing. Oh no, I think it's set just after World War II, but period historical film. But this has good vibes in it for sort of spooky areas. Although the building was built in the 1500s, what we actually see now is likely from 1737, because it was rebuilt. And no one knows for sure why it's known as the cage now, but it's possibly because it has similarities to the Tower of London, as you can, you know, I'll put a picture up, but you probably know what the Tower of London looks like. It's sort of got those vibes to it. You know, it's like a perfect square, which it seems like it's intentionally built in that way, reminiscent of a Tower of London type thing. Further evidence of this is that it was when it was rebuilt, it was built for Peter Lee the 13th, the Lees again, who owned all this estate, and he was actually imprisoned twice in the Tower of London for suspicion of treason. Now he was acquitted on those charges, but you know, maybe he liked it. Maybe he liked the Tower of London, so he had his own sort of Tower of London built. Seems that he stayed there. Now, I don't know loads about the Tower of London. I've never actually been. I really need to go. But I think back in certain periods of history, it wasn't a horrible place to be imprisoned. I know, you know, I've heard reports of people being imprisoned there back in the sort of 1600s. And it was quite luxurious, you know, it was quite a, you know, political prisoner type situation. So Peter Lee was, maybe he was one of them. He was imprisoned in quite a luxurious part of the Tower of London, and then he came back once he was freed and built his own almost. Or the other reason could be that it was simply because when it was used as a poacher's prison, maybe they just started calling it the Cage then because they used it as a prison. But that name has stuck and it is now known as the Cage. You can't go in, unfortunately. There's actually nothing in it from what I know. It was sort of stripped out. In World War II it was used as a lookout for the Disley Home Guard. Home Guard are like the people from Dad's Army, if anyone's seen that. But afterwards it was sort of stripped and, you know, it was abandoned and delinquents were sort of hanging out in it, so, and they thought it might be dangerous in there, so they sort of stripped all the floors out and everything, so it's basically just like a hollow shell now, unfortunately. I was going to mention the sundials as well, so they're on 3 of the 4 sides. So this is the north side where there is no sundial because there isn't enough sun for it to work in the day. So there's the sundial on the south side. That reads, "Remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth," which you can just about see on the top. And then the east and west side are the same. They have the same inscription, which is in Latin, so we'll translate that. And that reads, "Live today, tomorrow will be less seasonable." So they're like they're them inspirational quotes that you see nowadays, you know, live, laugh, love, all that. It's the 17th century version of that. Quite ominous though, actually, isn't it? But there it is, that is the Cage. Very cool. I thought I'd maybe be able to see the actual estate from here, but I can't. I imagine maybe it's just over the hill down here. But there it is. You've got great views of Manchester from up here as well. It'd be so cool to be able to go up to the top, but yeah, I really don't think you can. I think there might be staircases in each of the little side tower bits, but I know there's no floors in it. It just goes sort of, it's just a hollow shell now. There you go, it even says here, Lyme Park, the parking house, the home of the Lee family for 600 years, from 1346 to 1946. That is crazy. Look at all these suckers paying the car, paying to bring the cars in. I just walk here, get in for free. That's crazy. The weather's brightened up a bit now as well, which is nice. This gorgeous area, this. This is obviously the estate in possession of the Leghs of Lyme from well, you've seen it on there, for like 600 years. The house actually dates from the 16th century, but it was heavily modified by an Italian architect named, here we go, get ready for this, Giacomo Leoni. I'll put it up, it's easier to say if you do it with the stereotypical accent. Giacomo Leoni. He heavily modified it in the 1720s, so most of what is here now is 1720s, but original building, the original one was 1500s. I'm really surprised that you can just go in for free if you walk. That's crazy. I'm trying to keep it a bit hush hush, doing some gardening work down there. But this is bloody lovely in summer as well. I bet they'll have all flowers here. I mean, this bit's going to be impressive when we get around here. You can go inside and look around and stuff as well, but you pay for that. I imagine you have to show a ticket and stuff. You get a ticket, so I'm not going to be going inside because I've got nothing to go. Plus, I'd like to come back and do that another day because you're not going to be able to film in there and talk and do a video like this. So I think they've got a little information board here, though. That's cool. So it's saying that in the Edwardian time, the Leghs basically enjoyed this area. This area was used to play lawn games and stuff like that. And you can see them all relaxing here. I think that is literally right here outside the door. That's crazy. Check that out for a house. That's pretty amazing. There's a little lake here. We're going to try to find a bench to sit down somewhere around here, have some food, and then we'll go into the history of the place as well. Lovely little area, this. There's an information board down there as well that's explaining about the gardens in the Edwardian times when they were at the peak of the golden age. Now the family had lots of exotic birds and stuff roaming around here and all that stuff. And they were growing like grapes and things, and it said they'd send them off down to London from Disley station as well, where we've just come in. So that's all connected. There we are, look at that. So if you're interested in actually going inside the house as well, there's an extremely rare book called the Sarum Missal. I'm going to try and pronounce it, I think that's it. And it's the only surviving book of its kind that's practically complete. It was printed by William Caxton, who was the guy that brought the printing press to England. And it was printed in Paris in 1487. A book from 1487. And it's like the only surviving proper copy of it is in there that you can go and see. And it's belonged to the Leghs for over 500 years. Like just one book. The book actually depicts and represents changing religious views of the country during that period, so it's quite an important document. And it was even the first book to be printed in more than one colour, like ever, I imagine. If a little spot just to sit down and chill here, I'm going to have some food. But yeah, the land where the house actually sits now was granted to Piers Leigh by Richard II in 1398, so a bloody long time ago. So Piers Leigh was married to a Margaret D'anyers. I'm going to pronounce it. I'll put it up anyway. And her grandfather, Sir Thomas D'anyers, fought alongside Richard II's son, the Black Prince, during the Battle of Crecy. Again, I'll put it up. Which was a great English victory over France in the 100 Years' War. And because her grandfather Sir Thomas fought so well, he was awarded 40 marks a year, which I don't know exactly what that means in terms of money. It says 40 marks a year, but which could be exchanged for land up to that value, which belonged to the Black Prince. And he chose here, Lyme. However, Sir Thomas D'anyers died in 1354, so the land passed to his granddaughter Margaret, who was the closest surviving kin, and then she married Piers Leigh, and that's how it eventually ended up in his hands, the Leigh family. But just because he married Margaret didn't mean he automatically just got all the land, but Richard II actually favoured Leigh and granted him his own coat of arms, which then allowed him to essentially get the land. However, Piers Leigh, it didn't end well for him. He was executed only 2 years later by Henry Bolingbroke, who was a rival to Richard II. But luckily he had heirs already by then, and they kept all this land. So his son, which was there was a lot of Piers Leigh, there's so many of them. So his son Piers Leigh II actually fought in the Battle of Agincourt as well with Henry V, so that's 1415. And he was wounded in that battle, but his dog, the story goes, his dog, a mastiff, stood over him and protected him there for hours on the battlefield. And this dog that saved his life essentially returned with Leigh back to this area, and that dog was bred because he was such a faithful companion. Was bred and created the Lyme Hall Mastiffs, which was like an exclusive breed of Mastiff that were only bred at this building, at this hall. This would have been before this particular building, but when there were buildings here and they owned this land. They have died out since in the 20th century, but they are actually prominent in founding the modern Mastiff, like the English Mastiff. Predominantly comes from that ancient line of dogs that were bred here. By the time you get to the 19th century, the fortune of the family was in decline, and Thomas Lee did a restoration of the house, but that was mainly all the interior, so it's not really, it's changed inside but not outside so much. And then finally Richard Lee is the guy that gave Lyme Park to the National Trust in 1946, and it finally passed out of their hands then. You may have seen that it's famously used as Pemberley, the house of Mr. Darcy, this in the 1995 version of Pride and Prejudice, the BBC version, which was with Colin Firth. So if it looks familiar, you might have seen it from there. I've got this crow just eyeing me up. He's eyeing up my brownie pieces, which are pretty crap, to be honest. They're spoiling the wonderful view, as I bought these from the co-op and the NAF, so the crow's probably welcome to them. Look at that, absolutely beautiful place. Definitely recommend coming here. I mean, if you walk as well, you get in for free, which is crazy. Unless you want to go in the house, then you pay. But if you come by car, you have to pay just to park and everything, I guess. But look at that, that is so tranquil. Gorgeous house, absolutely gorgeous. The largest in Cheshire. I don't know what that bit is next to it. So that's obviously the main house, and there's some kind of, don't know if it's a greenhouse or something, I'm not sure. Oh, could stay here all day just looking at this. Wonderful view. But yes, that's this is Lyme Hall anyway, or Lyme Park. And so the next stop we're heading off to the Bowstones, the Saxon Bowstones. So let's walk around the lake and we'll make our way to the Bowstones for the final part of the video. Really cleared up now, we've got a bit of sunshine. Absolutely beautiful area to walk around. If you can get yourself here, I would recommend it. Lots of history, nice leisurely walk, nothing too difficult as well getting here by bus. You come over past the cage and you end up here, it's great. So this area is a bit like a greenhouse, this little building. With an orangery, which I've never heard of before. So just a little area for different plants. This fountain is very cool though. It's like so mossy and old. I know I keep saying it, but I actually can't believe that I'm in here for free. I feel like have I somehow snuck in and no one's noticed? It was just open. And the lady on the desk thing said, you don't have to pay unless you're going in the house if you've not got a car. So it seems too reasonable, this. So there's the house up there, Lyme Hall. And we've just crossed the car park here, suckers, paying it. Use your feet, get in for free. And we're going up this way, I believe, to find the Bowstones for the next part, well, the last part of the hike. Yeah, we're going to be passing through Nightslow Wood. Nightslow Wood, so let's check it out. Ooh, looks pretty creepy. Goodbye, Lyme Hall. Hopefully see it again soon, because I want to check out the inside as well. Alright, so I'm exiting Lyme now. Yeah, I don't know if this will be a problem or not, because so it opens at 8:30 and it closes at 5, so they lock all the gates at 5. However, I need to walk through here to get back, I imagine. And it is 3:05 currently, so maybe I better get a move on. If not, I'm sure I'll find another way back. There'll be another pathway back, I'm sure there would. Fingers crossed. I might be back before then anyway, so it should be fine. This is cool. I'm guessing this is the wood on the side, night slow wood. Looks like they're doing forestry work all on this night slow wood. Got lumberjacks managing some of the trees, cutting some of them down. So just look at these views there. Here we are, I think we're in night slow wood now. Something about like English woods, English forests. You've got the proper Lord of the Rings sort of feel. You could essentially rock up, any Hollywood production could rock up anywhere and like here and film Robin Hood adaptation or something, don't they? And look at that, there is Lyme Hall just there, and then behind it the cage. That's such a good view. Looks like that's the end of the night slow wood. Looks like we're going out now to open fields. Wow, look at all this. Make sure we close the gate. Oh, I mean that says welcome to Lyme as well, so maybe Lyme starts there. Wow, look at this, how barren. Yes, this is what I'm all about. Love this stuff. This is hiking in history right now. It's quite creepy how forests just end like that when they have like walls surrounding them and stuff. Blair Witchy. I've just started walking up here. I have no idea if I'm going the right way. Maybe I need to go that way. I'm just stunned by the view. Alright, let me check. So I am going the right way. This way. That is gorgeous, that. It's like a painting. We're not actually far away from the Bowstones now, really. Just by looking at the map, it looks around about, I'm not sure, but maybe like 10-15 minute walk on this path, maybe 20, maybe about a mile. Looks like I'm heading up there. Looks like not too long ago there was some cattle out here or something. There's these little things full of hay left. It's crazy how fast it feels like you come out in the middle of nowhere. You know, just 20-minute walk away. You know, you're by that by Lyme Hall and civilization and all that, and then it's just nothing. Even though we aren't really in the middle of nowhere, we're only on the edge of the Peak District. You know, the Peak District goes on for miles and miles, and you can get really deep into it, and then you're in the middle of nowhere. But overall, it's hard to be in the middle of nowhere in England. There are a few places, probably mainly up Scotland and the Highlands, where you're really on your own, and if you get in trouble, you're kind of screwed. But most places in the UK, you've not got to walk too far to get somewhere. Look at this for a view. So there's Night Slow Forest. Might just be able to see Lyme Hall out there, and then there is the cage sitting on its hill, just overlooking Manchester, which I didn't expect to get such good views of Manchester from here. I didn't think it'd be that open. Crazy. Feels like we're so high up as well, and we're really not really. Gorgeous day, great location. This is what it's all about. As always, I will put a link in the description that'll show the entire route I've taken, including like the golf course earlier, everything like that, just so you can see everywhere that I've been to, the route I've taken, and obviously you can adjust and do what you like. Do what bit of it you like. If you want to do the walk, you may want to skip out on the golf course, although it was a nice little walk around there. Just unfortunately couldn't find the barn that we were after, but the rest of this is hopefully more than made up for it. I think it has. It's been a good day, and I'm so pleased with the weather at the moment. And the Bowstones should be up here somewhere. Looks like there's some form of civilization up here, some antennas anyway. So we're making our way out. Have I got to climb up this fucking ladder to get out of this place? It's a first. I've never seen a ladder in the countryside to get over one of these walls. It's usually just a little couple of steps. I could be on You've Been Framed here now. I found a hobbit house, a little hobbit hole, a modern one. Here we go, so you can see the Peak District now proper in the distance, if you can make it out. It just goes on and on for absolute miles of rolling hills. Oh, you get a good view from here actually. But look at this. So you can get a better sense of the Peak District really from here. And there's all farms throughout and stuff, but pretty barren. That might be Buxton down there. I'm not 100% sure. Buxton might be bigger. I don't know. I've just noticed that this is Bowstones farm, so they must be here somewhere. I think they're here. Yes, they are. Here they are. I was about to check the maps and I was like, I don't know where I'm going now. And then I saw the sign for Bowstones farm. Here they are. Doesn't look that impressive, I know. Saving it for the last video, but it is actually quite cool. Here we are, the Bowstones. So 2 shafts of late Saxon crosses, which were probably landmarks or boundary stones, as well as objects of devotion. The crossheads with interlace in the courtyard of Lyme Hall are likely to be from the Bowstones. So it looks like they have some pieces of them in Lyme Hall as well. But here they are. These old Saxon crosses. So these are thought to be from the 10th century or maybe even earlier. And a lot of these ancient sort of stones are dotted around Britain. It's not entirely known, you know, what they were for, but like it says on this this little marker here, they were perhaps either for religious use, because they're obviously parts of much bigger crosses, because many of them have religious symbols carved onto them. As Christianity was spreading across Britain, the Saxons started to build these things, and you know, for 10th century or earlier, it's still quite impressive that there's some little bits that you can make out on it. I imagine that looks like it was probably modern, someone's probably done that, but maybe these bits, these look kind of ancient, and you can see here across there and all down here markings on them. So many of them were religious and people probably prayed at them. But not all of them, you know, many of them simply might just be way markers for travelling, you know, just directional things. Or, like it says on here, they could be boundary stones, you know, indicating one county, where one county ends and another one begins. Now we don't know what these ones are particularly, like in specifically, but we know they're obviously part of a bigger structure. And so many of these were destroyed, obviously simply over time, over 1,000 years. It's likely that they're not going to remain intact, but also during the Reformation, a lot of these Saxon worshippings, these statues and crosses, a lot of them were destroyed. So it's also thought that they were not originally placed here, and they were perhaps moved here during around about the 16th century by the Leghs. It seems that they have pieces of them at the hall as well. It's believed that they were moved here and then just left, and someone has taken notice and put this up, and it's now its own little historical location, which is pretty cool. And the reason they're called the Bowstones, by the way, is just a legend. Legend has it that Robin Hood used them to restring his bow, him and his men, and that's where the name comes from, Bowstones. Now, how true or anything that is, you can practically associate everything in England with Robin Hood. There is a Robin Hood story no matter where you are. It's like Robin Hood might as well have made pottery in a Stoke-on-Trent factory. It's like Robin Hood is everywhere. So that is probably bollocks. It was probably never here. Someone just, you know, Robin Hood was popular and they started making legends about it, most likely. But who knows, maybe he did. I could be completely wrong, and maybe the legend that is Robin Hood used these stones to restring his bow. And if so, that is pretty damn cool. But either way, legends are always cool. It's always quite funny to me how many legends there are of Robin Hood. They're just everywhere. Like that hill over there, Robin Hood's been over there, he's been over there, he's probably fought a dragon over there, just everything. He is everywhere. But yeah, those are the Bowstones. The last little stop on this video. Very cool little stop off point. What a wonderful place to end the video. Look at this view just of the Peak District here. But yes, that was the last stop, the Bowstones. So that is the end of this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, this hiking and history episode. We can wave goodbye to the Peak District. Well, I'm sure we'll be back again sometime soon. I'm going to head back down the way I came before I'm locked out of Lyme Hall. But yes, the next videos will be from Malta because I am going next Sunday for 3 nights. So it might be a bit of a wait before the videos actually come out because I don't think I'll get a chance to do another video before I go to Malta. Maybe a graveyard stories, but I'm not sure yet. But then obviously I'm going to Malta. I'm not going to be able to edit the videos until I'm back, and I imagine there's probably going to be a lot of footage, so there's probably going to be maybe 3 videos from Malta, 1 for each day that I'm there. So they'll be the next ones. Look forward to them. There's a rabbit over there. I've just seen rabbit. Oh, there they are. They're on bloody loads of them. They're on the Hobbit hole. Distracted by rabbits. But yes, they shall be the next videos. Might be a little bit of a wait, but hopefully they will be worth it. And like and subscribe like usual, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.